Hey everyone, Charlie here, and welcome to another episode of Learn to Play Masterclass, where I kind of go in depth and have kind of a mini masterclass piano lesson on a specific piece of music. And today we're going to check out the beginning of the Chopin Opus 25 Etudes, number 1, and that's the Aeolian Harp. That's kind of the nickname that goes along with it. So welcome, and check out some of the other Learn to Play videos and masterclasses and all that stuff. Be sure to subscribe, comment, let me know what you think, or if you have any, let me know how you're doing on this piece. Are you practicing this piece? Are you working on it? Any tips that you have that you might want to share with other people in the audience, things like that. I had some really great feedback on the last one. People wanted some more in-depth kind of masterclass tutorials, similar to like what I might do if I'm, teaching at like a college or something, and working with students there. The difference here being that no one's actually playing for me. So I'm just kind of going to go through the piece and basically just kind of give some tips and pointers and whatnot. I'm using the Cortot version, which is this version here. I'll link it down in the description. But all kinds of versions are great. This is just the one I've worked on and worked with, that is. And yeah, so and also if you want to hear a recording of me doing these, there's some videos on YouTube, but also my actual first, I think my debut commercial album has all of the Opus 25 Etudes on it. So check that out on Apple Music or Spotify or wherever you listen to music. All right, so the first etude, so like kind of this is like the beginning of the whole 12 etudes, right? So there's 12 etudes in Opus 25, and there's another 12 in Opus 10, and there's a few extras, but those don't really count sometimes, but kind of. But there's like 24 main etudes. This is the second set of 12. They're cool because they're all like an exercise, right? You're just, it's better than playing like scales all day, or at least it's more interesting. Because if you're playing scales all day, it gets boring pretty fast. So, these are basically like exercises, but they're also really amazing little pieces as well. So, each one of them works out kind of a specific technique and or musical aspect of music that you can kind of really work on. So a lot of them have nicknames. The first one is nicknamed Aeolian Harp because it sounds kind of like a harp. And so let's take a look at it. You'll notice when you're playing the piece, one thing that I would suggest overall is keep it light and keep it harp-like. Also, keep in mind that this is the beginning. It's not only a great 3-minute long piece in itself, but it's the beginning of a 30-minute long set of 12, right? So while it is its own piece, it does fit into the bigger picture of a whole. And how you play it will probably be a little bit different based on if you're going to play just one etude or a few etudes or all of the etudes, right? So when I'm playing all 12 together, that's a 30-minute piece. I might play it a little bit differently than, say, if I was just going to play just this etude and then that was it. If I'm playing just one etude or something, you might make it more beginning, middle, end, more varied within the piece. When you're playing it as a group of a whole, especially in this piece where the last like 3 are just crazy loud. You have the octaves and you have the winter wind and you have the ocean etude, 10, 11, and 12. If you were to like graph it out, it kind of starts, whatever, and then there's a quiet one in the middle, but then the climax is at the end. So if I'm playing it as a group, I might actually play it a little bit more subdued because there's still another 27 minutes to go after that, and you kind of want to make a beginning, middle. You want a whole cohesive group of 12 pieces in that sense. But anyways, think harp, think light. The top note, keep it plucked, keep it articulated. The bottom note as well. It's almost like the harp is plucking those top. In the middle is just the kind of thing that's going on in the middle. So if you start it, I like to kind of place the beginning, slowly extremolando. Now you'll realize that there's a lot of repeated notes. The melody is a lot of da 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 da. So what you want to do is actually have a direction. Don't just that gets boring fast and it's not very musical. So you want to imagine like you're almost like, almost think like the notes are continuing, even though when you play the piano, kind of, you know, there's an attack and then it kind of dies, right? Imagine that it's continuing, almost like you're a violinist. To here, come down, growing da dee da 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 da, coming down, but overall you're still growing da dee dee dee, da dee. Shape it. Now it gets to crescendo, so there's very it crescendos to overall it goes up and down, crescendo, decrescendo, all the way up to forte, and then comes back down to piano again in measure. I don't have measure markings here. 3, 6, 9. So if you're following along, so again. Keep that melodic line singing. The low notes, be sure that we actually place them. A good way to practice the middles and the tops, the balancing, is to break them up. Clump them. So you're playing the bottom note and the top note together, and then clumping all together into a chord. So it's basically just a chord. It's a good way to practice shaping the melodic line. It's marked forte, but there is a decrescendo in the last 2 beats of that measure. I like to come down a little bit more, especially because you have so far to go in this piece, right? So I don't know if forte is what I would necessarily do. Maybe mezzo piano or mezzo forte, maybe. Anyway, the second time, measure 9. It's a little bit different, so you can be a little bit more singing, playing out. Measure 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Bring out those counter melody. And then, so you want da dee 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 do 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 do. So it should sound something like, if I know how to play the notes. Even more. So on the first set, on measure 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, so you got E, E, D, F, E. They're on the third note, 1, 2, 3. And then the second, on the next measure, measure 20, which is the top of page 11 if you're using the Cortot edition, it's the second note. Sorry. So it's kind of a nice counter melody, give variety. Oops, I can't play the right notes. Now, speaking of counter melodies, now you have the top line growing, long lines. In general, not only in Chopin, but in most pieces, most lyrical pieces at least, you want to think long phrases, long lines. If you think too short, it becomes choppy and it doesn't feel as musical. Here, measure 21, I think it is, if I can count, is counter melody in the top of the left hand. So your B's, right? Starts on B, sorry. B flat. It's almost like almost like a pop song. Or maybe not. That's pushing it. Okay. Sorry. Bring out that B. Sort of the B flat, the thumb. Now we're more intense. I like to come back down a little bit here. Ritenuto. Growing to 14. We're singing out. It's like this joyous occasion. Now it repeats again. Echo. Now I'm on the next page somewhere now. Now we're going to grow. This is the final growth of the movement. appassionato. Be passionate, you know, really kind of come out here. Sorry, I played the wrong notes. You can really place that top note. It's not necessarily a ritardando, but it's just a pause to place, just a breathe. You need to always breathe in your music, at least most of the time. But you should physically be always breathing, of course. Okay, so last time. Don't rush. If anything, slow down a bit. Ritardando. To here. Now you're calm again. Plucking the top notes, not rushing. Counter melody at the thumb. Now this is the part where the harp goes, whatever they call it. If anyone knows what that's actually called, I mean, I don't think it's glissando, but maybe that's what they call it. Let me know in the comments below. This part. Pluck the tops. So light over the surface of the keys. Oops, one more time. Crescendo, decrescendo to pianissimo, tops, articulated, plucked. And then just a light trill. It's almost like all done, right? Almost like an amen. Yeah, so keep the end very light. Play over the surface of the keys. You don't want to be, you don't want that. Just all the way to the top. It's almost like you're glissandoing, but you're playing the keys. And then crescendo, shaping. I like to kind of accelerando a bit and then de-accelerando, kind of in that part. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then place it. The end. Now I like to slow that last roll down instead of going. I kind of like slowing it down so it's more cohesive. Placing the last note. Now, one part that's kind of difficult for a lot of people is that they get caught up in the individual notes. And if you play it like that, you know, it doesn't have that harp-like sound, right? It becomes more like trudging through mud or something. So, you know, keep it light. Now, you want to keep it exact, right? Like, you don't want to be, you know, you don't want it to, you don't want to be have an oxen that's pulling a wagon with square wheels. You don't want that, or oval wheels. You want it to be even, but at the same time, you don't necessarily need to overthink it. Like, it doesn't have to be so millisecondly precise that, and when you practice it, you can do that a little bit if you're using slow practice techniques. Slow practicing is important not only in this piece, but in all pieces. Check out my video on slow practicing. I think I have a few of them. Doing things like short, long, long, short, staccato, mixture of things like, and physically playing it slow. But back to the topic. It doesn't have to be millisecondly precise, but it should be fairly precise. But don't overthink it. Keep it light. So if you're playing with that pedal, it is together, but don't push down into the keys. This is almost the entire piece is on the surface of the keys. So if you notice when I'm playing, I'm not playing deep. You'll notice I'll mention playing deeply into the keys for some of the other pieces in this set of etudes. But for this one, there's very little that's played into the keys. If anything, maybe some of the tops and bottoms, but that's about it. The rest is very surface, like it's just skimming the surface of the keyboard. So keep in mind long lines, shaping, and surface. Keep it light, keep it airy, keep it beautiful. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, share, like, comment, all that stuff for the algorithm. and I'll see you in the next LTP episode. Bye-bye.